barrio just up the street from here.
Ricardo is born in Oaxaca in 1874, just 3 years before Porfirio Diaz comes to power, proclaiming himself a reformer, with the slogan of no reelección, no leaders of perpetuity.
Which, of course, Diaz ends up becoming, exerting absolute authority for over 3 decades.
Ricardo grows up in a largely indigenous community that practices holding the land and its resources as ejidos, as a commons, the very opposite of the hacienda system of private property and peonage instituted by the Spanish conquerors and that Diaz fiercely defends. Ricardo is just 17 years old when he takes to the streets for the first time in a student-led demonstration against the dictator.
He's arrested and thrown in the infamous rat and spider-infested Belém prison.
Ricardo gets out and founds his own newspaper, Regeneración, and joins the Partido Liberal Mexicano.
He is arrested.
He emerges from Belém after 11 months and promptly goes back to muckraking.
He is arrested again.
A few days after he's released, he hangs a banner from the balcony of his newspaper office that reads, La Constitución ha muerto.
And he is arrested, this time again with his brother Enrique.
This time he spends 5 months in Belém. After his release, the puppet Supreme Court
bans the Flores Magón brothers from publishing anything at all.
Ever. Deprived of their means of communicating with the masses, Ricardo, Enrique, and many of their collaborators decide to flee into exile. They cross the border into Texas.
But crossing from one state into another doesn't end their persecution.
The brothers set about reviving Regeneración among Mexican exiles and smuggling it back across the border.
Agents of the Diaz regime follow their every step.
From Laredo to San Antonio, from San Antonio to St. Louis,
where they are arrested on charges of defamation for publishing scathing articles about the Diaz regime.
Manifesto to the workers of the world. This formidable struggle of the two social classes in Mexico is the first act in the great universal cataclysm which very soon will break upon the scene all over the planet.
And whose final act will be the triumph of the magnanimous formula of liberty,
equality,
and fraternity,
which the bourgeois political revolutions have not been able to translate into physical reality.
Because these revolutions have not dared to break the dorsal fin of tyranny,
capitalism,
and authoritarianism.
Comrades of the entire world.
The solution is in the hands of the disinherited.
It only requires the practice of a great virtue. Solidarity. Welcome to VARIEDADES. Thank you so much. Our first guest this evening has penned many of her own poetic manifestos. She's had them in several bands of hers. One of her bands was called X. Another band of hers was called The Knitters. And she's had her own illustrious solo career as well. And we are waiting for her to come slowly this way. Come slowly this way. Exene Cervenka is with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way.
Sure. You know what, Exene, to stay within the theme of tonight's event, I would really, just out of curiosity and just, for the audience to hear, how and does anarchy still play a role in your life?
Well, that's why I'm here to tell you. I am tonight honored to be here among all of you and all the performers and everyone that's here to listen and think. I want to be tonight something I don't get to be very often, your official anarchy preparedness guide.
I think we'll leave it to Exene to tell us. Thank you.
All right. Well, how do you prepare for anarchy? First of all, I used to think anarchy, what Raquel just asked me about, was I grew up, when I was 7, I was in Catholic school, and I was sitting at my desk in 2nd grade when the nun came in and told us that the president had been shot. And so began my political journey and many other people's, because at that moment, as we all know, people my age, 55 or older, that was the defining moment of our lives, and changed everything forever. And then, you know, the civil rights movement, and the 60s, and Vietnam, and all that. And so by the time I got to Los Angeles, at the time I was 20, I was ready to find something, and I found a few people, and we got together, and the punk thing was happening. And so I thought anarchy might come from the underground. I thought it might come from the left. I hoped it wasn't going to, because I didn't want to go to prison, and I didn't want to tear up America because I thought it was beautiful. I didn't want to tear up, you know, or Mexico or any place. I wanted everyone to just get together and be smart, but that wasn't going to happen. But anarchy started to happen, but then it went away a little, right? And then it went underground during the Clinton years a little bit, because we had a really good time and a good economy, and everyone was lulled into this kind of Clinton-esque era of everything's going to be taken care of. And then it came anarchy time, the Tea Party. Tea Party and Ron Paul, that's anarchy, right? It is. And then I thought, well, yeah, that's anarchy, but we know really where the anarchy is in this country right now. It is in, at a higher level of the pyramid than the Ron Paul campaign. It is at the top of the pyramid where the anarchy comes, not from us. And the anarchy that's out there now is very kind of confusing to people. They don't really understand what's going on. For instance, if anarchy can be classified as no laws, I would say that's a pretty good general definition, maybe, of anarchy. That doesn't mean there's no law. Not a human or divine law. It means there's no man-made laws. Now, this is what I want to bring up as your guide. What is the difference between a law and an act? Let's say in the case of the famous, infamous Patriot Act, most of which has never been enforced because it isn't time to enforce those laws in the Patriot Act. Well, a law protects the community. It protects you. It protects me. Oh, you can't do this in town. You can't ride down the street naked and shoot off fireworks from your bicycle. That's against the law. But what is an act? Well, an act is something that protects or legislates a government idea. The Civil Rights Act was a government idea. The Patriot Act is a government idea. Acts are made to protect the system, whereas laws are made to protect the public. So the Patriot Act, then, therefore, is not really a law. It is something in place to protect us, to protect the government from something, and I think we know who that is. They do great things in our government. Does anyone here know the difference between contrails and chemtrails? Come on, people, okay. I am in the good spot because anarchy preparedness involves a lot of things. For one thing, you have to know that they're spraying you with something we don't know what. What about this? Since July 5th, NASA's been sending up 2 rockets a day into the ionosphere to disperse lithium. They're going to do that until the 23rd of July, and I believe that's 38 rocket flights of lithium. Now, lithium was present during the Big Bang, which is our furthest up scientific thing, right? Helium, hydrogen, lithium. It's this element, right? It's a metal. It's soft, and it's extremely corrosive. If you inhale it, you will suffer damage to your internal organs, especially your respiratory system, your eyes, anything that comes in contact with lithium. Why are they spraying lithium 38 times into the ionosphere, which belongs to the whole world? Well, they want to do an experiment to see if the GPS systems and the satellite systems that give us our cell phone power and whatnot, if they're still working okay, and how they could make it better. So that's why they're spraying lithium into the atmosphere. Chemtrails are a chemical that they're spraying. And the problem with lithium is they didn't say what kind of lithium. Is it lithium metal or is it lithium carbonate? Better known as the drug you give to people who have bipolar or depression issues. Anyway, they say they're spraying lithium. Maybe they're not spraying lithium. Maybe there aren't any rockets. We don't know because it's anarchy. We have no information. They do anything they want. It's completely lawless. And you have to be very careful what you say. Very careful what you say. Because under the Patriot Act, if you talk about certain things in a group of more than 2 people, that can be considered a crime. So you can't say too much, so we have to be very careful. Now me, with my big mouth, I've been going on Twitter, blah, 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 on my website talking about all this stuff. And I don't really care because I've been marked forever. So I've been marked since I was 20. I'm going to Camp FEMA, and I'll be there when you get there, don't worry. I'll have it all figured out by then, where to go, what to do, where the water is, you know. Anyway, I went on Twitter this morning, and I'm going to do something else here. I'm just going to end up with this one little part of this little thing. And they had, you know, on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, they have a thing where it says recommended for you 3 sites that you would like, considering what you say and who you write to, because it's all monitored and everything. And so the 3 sites it picked for me that they thought I might enjoy were Verizon Wireless. I'm not a customer, but you know, maybe it's a good site. Barack Obama. And Charlie Sheen. So they wanted to make sure that I got sent, you know, to the right direction for all my interests. I don't worry about the Maya. I don't worry about the Bible. I don't worry about Christians. I don't worry about the future. I don't worry about crop circles and what they mean. I don't worry too much about the past or too much about aliens or too much about that shit, because that isn't what is important. What's happening now is what's important. Now what's going to happen in a year. And those are dead-end streets if you get caught in those little conspiracies. Now, I'm going to sing a song by Irving Berlin. I think it was written in 1931, at the height of the Great Depression. And I'll dedicate this to the chemtrail people, the NASA people. I almost said Nazi people, but I did say NASA. Right? Okay, here we go. Wait, I gotta... And then I'm going to give you some tips on anarchy preparedness. Don't worry, you'll get those tips. Why worry when skies are gray? Why should we complain? Let's laugh at the cloudy day. Let's sing in the rain. Songwriters say the storm quickly passes. That's their philosophy. They see the world through rose-colored glasses. Why shouldn't we? Just around the corner, there's a rainbow in the sky. So let's have another cup of coffee, and let's have another piece of pie. Trouble's just a bubble, and the clouds will soon roll by. So let's have another cup of coffee, and let's have another piece of pie. Let a smile be your umbrella, for it's just an April shower. Even John D. Rockefeller is looking for that silver lining. Mr. Hoover says that now's the time to buy. So let's have another cup of coffee, and let's have another piece of pie. Within 100 miles of the California border, the Mexico border, the Canada border, the East Coast, any part of